Hey everyone, it's FLAK. Still no sign of a roadmap despite my best pineapple pizza offerings, but DICE is actually making two big changes to Battlefield 2042 which will definitely improve the gameplay, plus some other much needed adjustments. First of all, in the new 4.1 patch, developers say that they're nerfing Boris's turret and Angel supply bag. For this video, we're going to discuss those two big changes plus the other highlights that are in the update. The turret has long been the bane of players in Battlefield 2042. You dread hearing the beeping, knowing its Sauron-like eye is watching you from across the map, and its owner is probably camped out behind it. Well, rejoice, Battlefield fans. DICE made big tweaks to the specialty. The rate of fire from the turret has been dropped from 450 to 250 rounds per minute, and damage has been dropped significantly. Starting damage decreased from 16 to 10, while ending damage dipped from 10 to 7. Additionally, damage falloff now starts at 40 meters instead of 50, projectile speed has nearly been halved, and the turret's health has been decreased from 200 to 150. On the more technical side, the turret no longer tracks behind walls or paints a target, instead it now marks it with a red dot for friendlies. Lock-on time has been increased by nearly a third of a second. It forgets its target half a second sooner, and the lock-on range has been cut to 50 meters from 65. However, I will say that the turret's reload speed has been reduced by a second. Still, overall this amounts to a significant nerf for Boris's turret, and most players should be thrilled to see a change that helps promote actual gunplay instead of crutching behind a somewhat broken device. I also mentioned that Angel's supply bag saw some changes. With a new patch, the bag no longer resupplies armored plates. This means only Irish and players who specifically select the armor gadget will have access to plates in Battlefield 2042. I did some testing with this. DICE actually updated the little pack that Angel throws out. It's now just ammo. I will say that reviving a player as Angel still does grant some armor to that player. But like the turret, plates detracted from FPS gameplay, so seeing less of it in Battlefield 2042, I think that's likely going to be a good thing. Some may argue it's a big nerf for Angel, but he does still remain pretty powerful, right? He has the ability to resupply players by tossing those ammo packs and can of course still call that incredibly powerful crate, which allows players to change weapon setups on the fly. Regarding other changes to specialists, I'll also mention that Irish's fortification system recharge rate was reduced from 25 down to 20 seconds. The 4.1 patch also overhauled vehicles in a meaningful way. Specifically, the infamous Bolt is now part of the armored vehicles category, which means that players will now have to choose between it and the tank and the AA options. Similarly, the MAV is now part of the transport vehicles category, where it joins the MV380 Condor. Both of these changes are more meaningful than it might appear. In general, it reduces the number of overpowered armored vehicles and provides a heavy ground transportation option, which might encourage some players to select something other than the Condor, which, in my opinion, still remains a very potent support option. Meanwhile, DICE made significant changes to some game modes. Most notably, developers have actually removed the 128-player version of Breakthrough, saying that it diminished the value and impact of individual players and squads due to the chaos of combat. I will say I have seen some comments from players who don't agree with the decision, but DICE says the 64-player version represents a more tactical experience, and I do agree with them there. The changes do impact map size. For some maps, the Breakthrough experience will now utilize 64-player loadouts on Hourglass, Breakaway, and Renewal, while discarded Manifest, Orbital, and Kaleidoscope will use the 128-player loadout with the reduced player count. I will say I think it is a bit surprising to see such a stark change in that regard. I had argued for that move a while back, fully believing that devs would not budge on it, as 128 players was a big selling point for Battlefield 2042. 128 players remains accessible in Conquest, at least on PC and next-gen consoles anyway, where DICE says that the larger spaces better support sandbox gameplay. The new patch also tweaked a number of weapons. DICE increased the AC-42 distance damage drop-off at higher ranges. The AK-24 no longer has a semi-automatic fire mode, and the burst rate has been bumped to 900 RPM. For the NTW-50 anti-material rifle, its effectiveness has been buffed against vehicles and specifically against tank tracks. Again, it's supposed to be an anti-material rifle, so it should probably be anti-material. Vertical recoil has been increased for the PKP-BP, and developers added a new horizontal recoil profile. The weapon was pretty overpowered up to this point, so I do find that to be a good change. The SFAR got a short to medium range damage bump, however, the damage now drops off sooner. For the SVK, it will now take 3 shots to drop an enemy instead of 2. And a side note, if you are a frequent DMR user, you'll be excited to hear that horizontal recoil for those weapons was reduced in the most recent update. So I gotta say, in general, DICE making some great decisions regarding the direction of Battlefield 2042. I also want to throw out here, I've been a fan of function over form in video games, and in the 4.1 update, DICE kind of doubled down on this. Underbarrel attachments no longer affect weapon deploy speed. Sidearms are now faster to deploy. Gadgets are easier to deploy. They cut out an animation there. And DICE say that they've addressed a number of issues with input lag, which has been a major problem for me. So hopefully Battlefield 2042 going to be feeling a bit more snappy here in the future, which again I think is a really good thing. On a similar note, I've seen developers mention that they are looking into removing or at least changing the ready up animation that occurs when you spawn. I'm talking about when your character checks their weapon or chambers around right after you spawn. In the chaos of combat, that half second after spawning can really make the difference between life or death, and getting killed for a pointless animation that simply looks cool is something that I and many other people find incredibly frustrating, so happy to hear that. The last thing that I want to mention here, we are expecting details on Battlefield 2042's first season of post-launch content very soon. No official word on when that reveal is going to be coming down the pipeline, but the sooner the better, because the franchise desperately needs redemption and a shot at the arm. In the meantime, though, tell me your thoughts on the most recent patch in the video comments. We did have a bit of a speed bump there. There was a stuttering issue. As soon as the patch came out, DICE was thankfully able to fix that overnight. So if you were struggling with some of that, it has been resolved. So if you are still playing Battlefield 2042, tell me what you think of these changes. If you're not, do you think that this is a good direction for Battlefield 2042? I personally really excited to see the changes that are being made post-launch here for the gameplay. Very, very encouraging in my opinion. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Be sure to subscribe, tap the bell to get updates on the latest Battlefield videos. If you want to support the channel, make sure to check out our channel sponsors, or simply share this video. That goes a long way to help. And as always, thanks for watching.